The Tootster Jimmy Toots Holmes joins us, brought to you by the Huddle House. Toots' tips on a Thursday morning, and good morning to you, sir.
Good friend, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone. Oh, Nate Brewer, good morning, buddy. I know we got a text from you just a little bit ago, and I'm hoping I do better too, buddy. I really do.
By the way, let's go ahead and announce this morning our special pre-Iron Bowl Toots' tips, and you will be joined by
none other.
Nate Brewer.
Yeah, Nate is, we've talked about this, and Nate wants to join me. And,
he harassed you enough you finally gave in?
Well, I wasn't going to go that far, but yes, he did, and yes, he has, and yes, he does. But he's a good guy. I think the world of the guy, and I think it'll be fun to get Nate up here. If Nate was to bleed, there'd probably be little elephants jumping out of him all over the coast. So, but again, looking forward to that, the Iron Bowl preview, and I guess you're going to be our mediator.
Yeah, I'll kind of keep it between the ditches.
You better sort of sit between us.
That's a little while away yet. But last week, 9-4, you struggled late with the two Arizona schools.
Well, I tell you, I think what the problem was with that, I knew I was going to be in the bed, and I just sort of wanted to hurry and get that out of the way.
I got you.
But at any rate, 85 and what?
33. That's not bad, man.
Not too bad at all.
Make you want to go to the Huddle House and eat breakfast.
That's not a bad idea. I didn't get to go yesterday. I was in Montgomery on some business.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
And my wife calls it monkey business. So. But anyway, we went down that way and played.
Well, you went over there Sunday. I know that.
Yes, I did. Sure did. Me and my wife was over and had a good breakfast. And most Sundays, and let's see, this weekend my daughter will be home, so we'll be out there again on Sunday. So we invite you to come by and have breakfast with us. I mean, doggone it, we can chew the fat with the best of them.
Any meal on the menu, though, 24/7.
Anytime you want it. At 2 o'clock in the morning, if you want a cheeseburger, you can get it. At 11 o'clock in the morning, if you want a big house breakfast, you can get it.
It's kind of amazing how the employees, usually in restaurants, turnover's pretty high, but not here.
No, and that goes back to management, Jim. And of course, Doug and I are real good friends, as is with you. We go back a long ways, and think the world of him. And he just runs a good establishment out there. And I'm proud that he's here in Sylacauga. He's also got one over in Harpersville, one up in Chelsea. I've patronized all three of them. There's not a whole lot of difference in any of them.
All right, let's go Toots' tips on this Thursday morning. We begin with the top 25 matchup, number 12 Baylor at number 15 Oklahoma.
Well, the Snoops guys that sort of fell on some hard times. The Baylor Bears, they got a pretty good football team, and I like Baylor, and they probably going to win that division out there if TCU don't. But I like the Baylor Bears. Okay,
take Baylor. Disappointing loss last weekend for the Georgia Bulldogs. They try to recover as they travel to Kentucky, and Kentucky's lost 3 in a row.
They have, and it's going to be 4. I really thought that, I picked Georgia to beat Florida at the world's biggest outdoor cocktail party. I just don't know what happened to Georgia. Florida put it all together. They ran the ball.
They're still running it, I think.
I'm telling you, they just ran Georgia out of the end of the stadium, and you can bet that Mark Ricks has got his defensive coordinator, and they probably had a few conversations about this. Kentucky, you wonder how good is Kentucky? They started out like a ball of fire.
Give the coach a couple of pay raises.
And lost the last 3, and Georgia goes, I think they go to Kentucky.
They do.
They not? So, but the Georgia Bulldogs in Lexington will win against the Wildcats.
I normally wouldn't mention this game, but Louisiana Tech is in Birmingham to take on UAB. There's a big story on AL.com about the possibility of shutting down the UAB football program.
Rumors have it, but Coach Clark's done a pretty good job over this year. Louisiana Tech, but Jim,
they won 4 games, and one more game they'll be bowl eligible.
Yeah. But the thing about it is putting people in them seats. And Legion Field, it's a great facility. There's been a lot of major football college games played there. But the UAB is just not drawing people. I mean, if you get 4,000 or 5,000 people at a Blazer football game, they've got a big crowd. And financially, it's got to be a burden not to have no more people in the stands than that. So
Even though Coach Clark, he's kind of rejuvenated the fan base, and it is up from what it's been in recent years. But I think UAB, if you, in some stories I saw, if you shut down the football program, it's going to affect the other sports as well and put them in a lower tier.
It will, and Gene Bartow started the basketball program there. And, they were talking about building their own campus stadium to play football in. That sort of went down the tube. So, that's one of them deals you would like to see UAB stay in existence. And but again, Jim, when you get into a recruiting thing, if a kid is good enough to play at Auburn, Alabama, some of these local colleges, UAB sort of just takes what's left, and as far as blue chip players go. But again, I like to see the program survive. I'd like to see a lot of people go watch UAB play football, but when you got Auburn playing at home, Alabama playing at home, and UAB playing in Birmingham, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, time will tell. Just for the sake of pick it. La Tech at UAB.
Okay, first of all, do you remember what great quarterback came out of there?
Yeah, Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw. Do you remember another one?
Jimmy Holmes. No. No.
Johnny U.
Oh, really?
I think Johnny U played at Louisiana Tech too. I could be wrong, but I think he did. Anyway, the Blazers at home, La Tech. I don't even know what kind of record they got.
Just pick UAB, just for sentimental sake.
Well, just to try to save the program, I'll go with the Blazers.
All right. More serious notes. If that is serious, I certainly hope that the program continues. Number 22 Duke. A late game winner last week, and boy, they just keep hanging in there. They travel to Syracuse.
Well, in the Carrier Dome, I think where they play up there. Now, Duke, I think, is 7-1 or something like that.
They've lost one game, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was it Florida State?
Cutcliffe up there, isn't it?
Yeah, Coach David Cutcliffe. He's been at Ole Miss, and he's a good coach. He had Archie Manning at Ole Miss. He had Peyton Manning at Tennessee. And now he's over at Duke. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stay with the Dukies. They do.
Gonna ride them till they quit, huh?
I guarantee you, ride that horse.
Number 3 Auburn, coming off a last. This thing went down to the wire over Ole Miss. Number 3 Auburn, hosting Texas A&M, and some people are saying sooner or later the real Texas A&M is going to show up.
Well, I hope it's not this week. Alabama just pretty much just dominated Texas A&M when they came to Tuscaloosa. Auburn, and I'm an Auburn fan, don't misunderstand me, they've been lucky the last 2 weeks. South Carolina had them on the ropes, and certainly Ole Miss had them on the ropes, and just a freak play at the end of the Ole Miss game could have salvaged a win for the Auburn Tigers. But a win is a win is a win, and you take them. I like the Auburn Tigers at home over the Texas A&M Aggies.
The Treadwell kid that was injured, a lot of people were talking about the injury itself, but what an effort this kid made to try to get in the end zone.
Well, I agree, and I think he wound up with a broken ankle, broken leg, or whatever the case was, but again, just a freak play, Jim, and that's all you can say. I don't know. Auburn has dodged some major bullets over the course of the year. I think the Mississippi State game they probably should have won. But they spotted them like 21 points or 24 points early and couldn't overcome it. After Ole Miss went up 14, I think I said, well, they're going to throw in the towel. They didn't. They came back. Gus Malzahn got them kids believing they can win.
Top 10 matchup, number 10 Notre Dame at number 9 Arizona State.
Well, I went out on a limb with these doggone Arizona schools last week, and they got me in trouble. The Fighting Irish, I don't like them no way. I wish they would lose 10 games a year, but I look for Notre Dame to go out to the Sun Devil country and pull off a victory out there.
So take Notre Dame, even though you don't like them,
I don't like them.
Number 23 West Virginia, who were just seconds away from a win last week, travels to Texas to take on a Longhorn team that is hungry for any kind of win.
Well, they are, and that was TCU, I think they played last week. Is that correct? Again, Charlie Strong, I admire the guy for what he's done out there, not for wins and losses, but for his attitude to his football program and the rules that he has laid down, and you do them or you don't play. And, I think 9 was a number that he sort of asked to leave from the football team. But West Virginia, they've been sort of up and down. You know, they started the year with a loss at the hands of Alabama. They played TCU to the tilt, and also they played Oklahoma, if memory serves me right. They played them all the way to the end. But I think the Mountaineers will go out, and this old Musket guy may get him a Longhorn.
Number 7, Kansas State at number 6, TCU.
This is going to be a barn burner.
Be a lot of points scored, probably.
Oh, boy, I'm telling you what's the truth. TCU can put them up in a hurry. It was 85. That's something they put up on somebody. And but I'm going to tell you, I watched the Auburn-Kansas State game, and again, Auburn might have been lucky to get out of there with a win. K-State's got a pretty good football team. TCU's got a good football team. Where's the game played?
It's at, where's Texas Christian at?
Somewhere
in Texas somewhere.
Somewhere in Texas.
That's a big state.
It is a pretty good size state.
I don't know if that's Corpus Christi or where it is, but anyway.
No, it's not Corpus Christi. It may be Waco or Fort Worth or somewhere up in there. I'm not sure.
So you're taking TCU?
I don't know, Jim. That's something I could ponder on for about another hour and a half. I know we can't. But I'll tell you, I'm going to take the Cats.
Wildcats.
Yeah.
All right. Number 14, Ohio State at number 8, Michigan State.
I'm about like Ohio State, like I am Notre Dame. I don't know. Maybe it's that ding-dong coach down there from Florida.
You just can't pick them, can you?
Nah. I like Michigan State. We're not going to go no further. Is that in East Lansing? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 4, Oregon, who jumped Alabama in the championship poll. They're at number 4, number 17, Utah, and Oregon better watch this game.
Well, it could be a close one. I picked Utah last week, and they let me down. I'm going to tell you, Oregon, and this is just my feeling, Oregon could play every team in the SEC, and they would not have a winning record.
That quarterback's good.
He is good, but they got a lot of quick folks, but the SEC's got a lot of big, strong folks. And I don't think Oregon should have jumped Alabama.
So you're going with the Utes?
No. I'm going to go with the Quack Attack. And
well, dang, you sure were bragging on it. Okay. I don't know. I already marked it. So you got number 4, Oregon. All right. The final matchup, number 5, Alabama, under the lights in Baton Rouge against number 16, LSU, and the Mad Hatter.
And the Mad Hatter will try.
Wears them hats too little for his head.
And he'll try to pull out every string and every feather out of every chicken he can to try to win this ball game. But listen to this, and you can take this to the bank. The Tide don't lose in Baton Rouge.
Wow.
Take it to the bank.
That was some deep thought in there.
I guarantee you. Alabama, Jim, I'm going to tell you, they're a lot better than the number 5 ranking, and I'm not too sure. You know, the salt will come to the top next week. You know who travels to Tuscaloosa. Mullins will take his band of Bulldogs down to Tuscaloosa, and that's going to just shake this whole ding-dong thing up about who's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and whatever. But Alabama, although LSU will play them good, they'll play them. They always play Alabama tough. You know, they beat Ole Miss, who was ranked pretty high at the time. I just don't think they're going to beat Alabama, not in Baton Rouge. Alabama just plays extremely well there for whatever reason, and you can bet that Nick Saban's got those kids ready to go.
All right, Toots' Tips brought to you by the Huddle House. Always open, always fresh. 85 and 33 overall, 9 and 4 last week. And if there is an upset in some of these games, would you look at the Utah-Oregon game, or would you look elsewhere?
Well, I would have to look elsewhere. We talked about the offense that the Ducks have, and they put up some points. They got a decent football program. I've seen them play one time on TV. My upset might be Kentucky at Georgia.
Okay. We didn't talk about number 2 ranked Florida State. They're hosting Virginia, and most people don't give Virginia a chance. And,
I don't either.
Florida State looks like they pretty much going to run the table.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, they better look out for the Gators when they come a-calling. Florida, I was impressed with the way they played Georgia. I got to watch most of it. They played extremely well against the Georgia Bulldogs, but then South Carolina came into Athens and beat Georgia. So then Georgia beat some teams they probably shouldn't have beat, but did. I'm just telling you, I don't know which Georgia team will show up.
Who would have thought Steve Spurrier at South Carolina would have 4 losses on the season?
With the team he had coming back in the early preseason rankings that they had, I thought that they were going to be maybe a team in the East to beat would be South Carolina. But you know who's in the catbird seat now, do you not? The Missouri Tigers.
Who was there last year representing the East.
They played Auburn in the SEC championship game.
They don't get a lot of love, though, Missouri.
They do not. And I don't know, maybe it's the location where the school is in Columbia, Missouri. They played well enough to win. And I don't know if their schedule dictates anybody else that might beat them or not. But if I'm not right, correct me if I'm wrong, did not Georgia go out there and beat them?
Yeah,
somebody,
they did.
I think it was
Sure
Georgia.
Did. Shut them out.
It went out there and beat them. And then,
and made them like it.
Indiana beat that bunch. And then next week, I think it was Michigan or somebody beat Indiana just beat the breath out of them.
Or something. Before we go, a local or a buddy of yours, Mike Battles, is stepping aside at
Hanley High School. And Mike and I go back a long ways. A dear friend. I've been knowing him many, many years. We played a little high school football against each other, and we just got to be real good friends. And just a great individual. And Hanley High School has asked him to step down.
He's had a great career there.
He's had this year. They were just 3-7. They started out 2-1, and then they've only won one more ball game since then. But Mike had been a head coach for 41 years. He's been in the coaching business for 44 years, and
they've been several championship rounds and regional titles.
They won a title. I know when Smiley Waters, he and Mike were over there together. I think Ron Waters was the offensive coordinator, and they won a state title. But his record as a head coach is 280, 186, and 2 ties. And I think he wants to go maybe 3 or 4 more years and try to get that elusive 300 win. He's only 20 away. He wants to go about 4 more years.
He said he would be the one deciding when he quits coaching, not somebody else.
Absolutely.
I think there's a message in that.
And I want to make this statement, and it's just strictly mine. I hope he comes home. And I won't go no further than that.
Never know. But Mike Battle's out of there as a coach of Hanley High School. We're out of here for Toots' Tips, too. Let's do it again next week.
Absolutely.
Brought to you by the Huddle House.
Good Lord. Well, then the creek don't rise, but don't break a shoestring or something worse. And Doug Norton is still my buddy. And if we invite you to drop by and eat, just whatever you want, whenever you want. If you're not happy, see him, and I think he'll rectify any situation, but you will not be unhappy when you eat there.
All right, the Huddle House, always open, always fresh, presents Toots' Tips. And don't forget the Iron Bowl special. Jimmy Toots Holmes, we're going to need to come up with a nickname for Nate.
I could, but I better not say it now.
We'll be telling you more about that, too, as we get closer to the Iron Bowl later this month. More on Daybreak coming up after this.